Hey everyone, welcome back. It's been a while since I made a video. Actually, I've thought of making a video every single day in the last month, but then I think like maybe tomorrow is going to be a better update than what's going on today, and so on and so forth. And I've basically seen my portfolio get decimated. Um, when I made this, when I started making these videos on my portfolio, I was sitting pretty at $240,000, and I said I will be more than happy, if it drops to $140,000 because that's what I'm thinking. What's going to happen to my portfolio? In the worst case scenario. At least that was a thought at the time. But one thing I was looking at, and I just wanted to share something pretty quickly. 3 months back, I made a video where I tried to predict where the bottom of some of these stocks is going to be. And it was a pretty simple math, but the premise of it was that what's happening in today's environment is very closely resembling what happened back in 2000. So back in 2000, you had crazy tech valuations. So we had crazy tech valuations this time along. We had, unfortunately, the 9/11. This time around, there's a Ukraine war. We had a Fed that was not sure and lingering interest rate increase, which is the same thing now. In fact, only worse. The inflation is actually much worse than what it was back in 2000, and we're still not sure what's going on with the pandemic. It's still, you know, actually causing some troubles as far as supply chains are concerned. So, a lot of parallels to draw between what was happening in 2000 and versus what's happening today. So what I did was I went in and I said, okay, look, what was the decline in S&P 500 at that time, and what's the decline, possible decline this year? And what I did was I'd come up with my bottom price forecast for some of these securities or these stocks. So Tesla, for example, 560. If I look at Tesla, it's still currently trading at 733, much lower than what it had been trading at, but definitely much higher than the 560. Let's look at Microsoft. I said that the bottom is going to be at $231. Microsoft has been trading at, it's come down drastically. It's come down to 230, 261. So per my prediction, Microsoft could bottom out at $231. And it's at 261. And you can actually see this in the video that I made 3 months back, that when I was putting this together and I was like, how the heck can these drop so much? But then I was like, you know what, let's just keep going with the rationale of what happened in 2000. Let's try to figure out a factor with which an S&P 500 drop would result in individual securities dropping, and therefore what that will look like. VOO, I predicted $353. At that time, VOO was about $420. So coming down to 353 is a drastic turn, but it's at 361.69 right now. And I don't think tomorrow is looking any more promising than what it is today. Let's look at some other ones. Home Depot at 262. Let's look at where Home Depot is today. Home Depot is at 282. So not very far from what I thought would happen, 262. And then you keep going down. Lucid, which by the way, I've sold out of Lucid. I wanted to keep it for the long term, but I thought I'll take this money out and put it in maybe like VOO, S&P 500 or something like that for now. I have not pulled my money out of the market. I've just sold Lucid. I've sold Lucid, I've sold Asana, I've sold Facebook. I know I've been a staunch supporter of Asana, but I feel like right now is not the time to stay in the stock. I do not know how far it could actually go down. And if you look at Lucid, I predicted $18.88. Lucid is currently trading, and at the time it had touched $50 at $14.11. So it's already went past its 1888. The only problem was because it is negative PE, I couldn't predict exactly where it's going to be. Let's look at another one. Pepsi See, Pepsi, I had predicted it to go down to 170.54. Look at Pepsi. Pepsi is at 171.05. So you know what? It's pretty close to sort of where I thought it's gonna land. So I'm pretty happy with this with this prediction that I'd made. Now the only thing is it's actually worse for some other stocks. Disney, for some reason, I had, oh my god, I don't know why I said Disney would be $58. I hope that doesn't happen. Disney is fallen down quite a bit, but Disney is at, I think, $105. I stopped $101, so it's coming down quite a bit. Another one that I had predicted that I have was Google. Google was 2104 per my numbers, and if you look at Google, it is trading at 2276. So still some ways to fall, at least based on my numbers. Shopify, I said 437, but Shopify has gone down even worse. Shopify has dropped down to a much smaller number than that, and actually falling even more every day, $319. But what I'm saying is that I was able to get to a number for these securities based on modeling out a scenario, assuming that it was 2000, understanding how much S&P 500 fell in 2000s, 2000, 2001, 2002, and then coming up with a factor of that what an S&P 500 fall would mean for these individual securities that I was carrying at the time. I was able to come up with individual securities numbers. Now, when you're applying the same formula across the board, obviously it doesn't make sense. But let's look at HC. HC, I was predicting a crazy amount of fall, so 73.68. Let's look at where HC is. HC is at 78.22, guys. 73.68, and HC at $78. So what I think is, I think at the end of the day, few things learn. Cycles do repeat, and especially if two events are pretty similar to each other, you can expect the markets to sort of fall in the same way. I think human the reaction or human psyche or human rationale still remains pretty stable across the board. I'm pretty glad that I had these numbers. Oh, by the way, Rivian at the time, Rivian had gone through an IPO at the time, and Rivian was high flying and everything was going well. I predicted a $32 stock price. Let's see where Rivian is. Rivian Automotive is at $21. So you know what? Despite the fact that I was predicting a more than 100% decline in the Rivian stock price, it has stood the test of this particular model. So I'm very happy, but I'm at least actually very sad that that this has kind of worked out the way it has worked out, because this is really disheartening. So if you look at my portfolio at this point in time, I have gone down to 195,116. So when I started making these videos, I was at $240,000. From $240,000, I've now come down to $195,000. And between this time, I've invested about $8,000 of new money into the market. Just following the principle of not timing the market, but going along with it and whatnot. However, because I've been burnt so many times over the last 3-4 months, I have kind of slowed down my frequency of how much I'm investing. I think the pain is not over. There's still a little bit more to go. As I mentioned, VOO per my numbers would probably fall down to $330, $340. It's at $360 right now, so not very far. But once we have these, once we get to those levels, I think it's going to be, it is going to be important. Now, two things, I learned from it is I've seen these numbers, these upset me every single morning. I wake up, I'm actually on the East Coast right now. So I kind of wake up and I still don't see the market sort of do its thing. I see the futures go up and down, but the markets obviously start here at 9:30. And when I'm on the West Coast, the market starts at 6:30. This upsets me. I'll be honest with you, this upsets me. Anything, now, but my reality has sort of dropped. At the peak of it, my portfolio was $268,000. Then it went down to 240, and now it's at 195, 115. But I still am not going to pull the money out of the market. I still have the same amount of money invested, meaning, yes, it has lost value, but I've not pulled money out and put it in my bank account. I've not sold my stocks and put them in my bank account. Because again, I go back to the same principle of having your emergency fund, having your cash with you, so that when these things fall, that does not impact you. Now, one thing I'll tell you is I have a lot of equity in the company that I work for. I did not sell a single stock there either. And the point was that I'm going to sell the stock to buy a house. I think I'm going to defer my house buying decision. That's the only thing that, it has happened is if I knew that I was going to buy a house, maybe I should have sold it at maybe, prices above $3,000 when I knew that they were going to fall down. And I kind of did not do it. But again, I'm going to defer my house buying decision to later. I have an emergency fund. It becomes pertinent, you're investing for the long term. I'm not pulling this money out. In my first video, and I'd mentioned that I don't care if this drops by 30, 40%. It does not matter. I'm fine with it. And I'll keep it that way. The second thing is, now, we've all learned that, you can't just pick stocks based on, what somebody's saying and what somebody's talking about. You have to look at the PE ratio. You have to look at what you're paying for the company. It does not matter if a company comes out and says, hey, we're going to change the world. Yeah, you can change the world, but that's going to come at a price. You can't, changing the world is a great thing, but it cannot be at a price which is exorbitant. So I've kind of trimmed down my positions in the sense that I've taken money out of um, Lucid, Neo, those things that were falling hard and fast, took those out, put them in VOO. I know VOO will fall as well, but at least I'm getting my dividends. I am very close to now, the $2,400 mark, $200 in dividends per month. So that's going quite well. Dividend stream is not stopping, but yeah, everything is decimated, pretty much down the drain, kind of thing. Costco, let's look at Costco. Like Costco is trading at $490. And if you look at Costco, the 52-week high in Costco was $612. And my prediction for Costco was $371.99. It's at $490. So it's held up quite well. I was expecting a 35% drop in Costco, but it's held up quite well at $490. So I mean, I don't have a lot of shares in Costco, but I have something. So anyways, guys, I know everybody from an investment perspective is hurting out there. There's not a single person that I know of who's happy about how the investments are going. All of a sudden, I'm starting to like think about, hey, is this my way of getting to $1 million? But I have faith in the system. I have faith in American economy. I have faith in the companies that I've worked for, and I think this is going to continue, to go through its cycles. What I'm going to watch out for is right after 2000, so 2000, 2001, 2002, you had the dot-com bubble that burst, and that kind of took a lot of equity value out of the market. And then very close to that in 2008, we had the housing market. So I'm really hoping that we're not going closer to a housing market crash or something like that. I hope things stabilize. I really was thinking that once Fed comes out with clear indication of where the interest rates are going to be, that's going to be it. but I've discounted the fact that there's going to be a war in Ukraine, there is going to be a supply chain crisis. China is out of the blue is going to have COVID cases. So I discounted. I did not take that into account at all. So my equation was, once Fed comes out with interest rate hikes, then we'll be all good. But I think market has lost all kinds of trust in Jerome Powell sort of doing his job. Whatever he does is not going to help us, help the market out. 8.3% is what the inflation was today. It's a little bit lower than where we've been, but it's fascinating. It's fascinating to go through this time. I think as investors, we're going to become a better investors once we go through this time. But it is definitely difficult. It is definitely crazy as to what's happening. I have lost 30% of the value of my portfolio. This is outside of my company stock. My company stock doesn't even get factored in here. So something to keep in mind. But I think stay strong, guys. I know I've mentioned this. I want to build a community of folks who are thinking long term and building value for the long term. Again, keep cash at hand. If you don't need the cash, you can go and start investing. I actually invested $400 yesterday, in various securities. But what I'm starting to do is, wherever I have stocks, I'm starting to build bigger positions. So for example, Apple, I have 124. I think I had already 100 stocks plus in Apple. Microsoft, VOO, I've gotten to 64, 63. This is what I want to beef up. I think as an investor, now I know, playing with individual securities is fine, but only the very well-known entities is what I want to sort of, be in. So either ways, Home Depot, actually, I think I talked about it. Home Depot is trading at 282. And I had said Home Depot was expected to be, I don't know where Home Depot is, but I think I should have had Home Depot in here, HD. So HD at 262, we're at 282, so $20 away from where I think the bottom is going to be. But I'm really, I was looking at the sheet, and this was a video I did 3 months back, where I said, when will the pain end? I think the pain is still going to continue. And this is what I think where the prices are going to be. What I'll do is probably I'll just attach this sheet to the video for everyone to see. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a very much a experiment kind of guy. I am doing what I'm doing, based on my own hard-earned money, and I'm experimenting. This is not a financial advice. This is just an update of where I stand right now. I've gone from $240,000 to $195,000, and things are not looking that great. And I think they are going to continue to look bad, well into Q3. Now, I thought we'll get better by March, but I don't think that has happened. And my predictions are sort of coming true, very close to where things are. Some of the stocks have held up well. Either ways, I know everybody out there is hurting. Do not, I just want to stay motivated. I know this is a long-term game. This is not a short-term proposition. So let's stay strong. Let's go with it. But yeah, it's definitely hitting. The realization is hitting. I would have somebody was telling me, why didn't you even have cash? And then the answer was, what about 8% inflation? But then you say, that's okay. At least inflation only brings it out 8%, not like crazy, like 27, 30%. So I'll keep my cash. I'll still invest, but not to the point where I was, not to the extent where I was. I know there is about $20 more in VO to go down before we sort of, see the bottom. We'll go from there. But anyways, thank you so much for listening. Apologies for uploading this a bit late, but hopefully, you all are doing well. And again, I'll come back with an update soon. Hopefully, I'm up again. I'm up beyond $200,000, but sitting pretty at 195 right now. Take care. Bye-bye.